Thank you very much, Sonal, for this invitation. It's a most wonderful course. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent cases as well by everyone. The first case is an 18-year-old one-eyed boy. He got hit by a football, multiple tears, and he presented with these star folds, etc. He underwent a vitrectomy. I put in oil at the first instance. Retina was reattached, doing well. But within about 6 weeks, he had developed this pucker and some membranes in the mid-periphery. So I went in again. I had to clean up, do a clean-up job. So all that was fine. First day everything appeared to be fine. Second day he complained of severe pain at night. The IOP was 50 millimeters of mercury. In this kind of a situation, at prima facie look, it all appeared to be fine, but if you notice, there's a fine sheen on the iris, so a big bubble of silicone oil had come in front, and that is what was causing the rise in pressure. So accordingly, it was removed. Now this removal can sometimes be a little bit dicey, and one has to be careful to try and remove as much as possible, but at the same time be careful that more and more oil from behind doesn't keep leaking out. Otherwise one will have to do an oil top up as well. So having completed that, made sure that the pressure was okay. A patient did well thereafter. Now these kinds of things in these very high myopes and where they have advanced PVR, even in a phakic situation, in pseudo-phakic situations, it's still more commoner. But this is probably also related to a very aggressive base excision. So sometimes one has to be a little bit judicious about how much base excision should, how much force should one be using. You don't use a nuclear bomb for a street warfare, so something like that. That was the lesson from this. Now, here was a 27 gauge vitrectomy for a macular pucker related to a toxoplasma scar. So, while all this was going on fine, at one stage, you see the visibility was becoming a little bit poorer. So, the question is how to improve visibility in these kind of situations. The most obvious answer is to use a different illumination system. The previous thing was with halogen, so using any of these new LED light sources would solve the problem. If one doesn't have access to that, the other alternative is to use an additional chandelier system for these kind of cases. The same case, I was doing FG, and suddenly this is what happened. Gas bubbles came in front of her lens. Now I didn't, for a moment I had my heart in the mouth because this was my first 27 gauge vitrectomy. So you know that inherent nervousness which is also there, that how is it going to go, and all that had to be done was just to wait for a little more while and allowed all those bubbles to merge, and then one had a good view of the posterior segment. Now why this occurred was because I didn't mentally adjust to the fact that I'm using a much smaller bore. The aspiration rate would be much slower. Because things were going slow, to speed up things like one would do in a 20 gauge system or a 23 gauge system, I stepped up the air pressure of the FG, and that is the reason why I landed up with this kind of a situation. Manish, this was a situation towards the end. Uh, there were air bubbles in the subconjunctival space. So, would you have any comments about that before having removed that?
I mean, this is the subconjunctival bubbles came in at the time of removal of the cannula, or
Just before, I had removed the upper two cannulas, and
Yeah.
the last one was.
so somewhere from the wound area they are probably So best is to take a suture. I would do that.
Tips on prevention of such a thing?
I mean, best is what I do is when I take off the cannulas, I am ready with the flat, bed instrument to massage that area for about 15-20 seconds. So I don't just pull it out. I'm ready as soon as I pull it out. There's something massaging because there is a loss of elasticity in that area because of the cannula kind of forcibly pushing open that scleral tissue, and when you instantly take it out, it doesn't get enough time to regain its elasticity or memory. So by this massaging, it sometimes allows that much time that it gets back. So you could prevent it in a lot of times. But of course, if in spite of that, if I see bubbles which are coming in and I see that the port is not healthy, I would take a suture. It's the best thing.
One thing which I have been following is that before removing that last infusion one, I reduce the air pressure.
Yes.
Remove it, massage, as Manish very rightly pointed out, and then if required, I top it up with using a 30 gauge needle, air flowing through that.
That's perfectly fine.
Paritosh, another way also when you're injecting gas in these patients at the end, what I do is I would remove just the first two ports, the top two ports, and then inject my gas and keep the infusion cannula on with very less air pressure. And at the end, just stop the infusion cannula slightly by increasing the air pressure of the machine and remove that as your last port. So that you always maintain a good globe and you do not have to go in back with a 30 gauge needle again with air inside to top up or to have a collapse of the globe. So the infusion cannula can be left there with a reduced air pressure when you're putting in your gas, and then just increase the air pressure slightly back to 20-25 and then come out with your infusion. It really does a good job there.
Now this is another case presented in a pre-thicycle status with a defective projection of vision, and she had seclusio, occlusio pupillae, and a bad situation. So I just as Karobi pointed out that please don't give up, don't say no. So stage 1, I went ahead and broke off all the synechiae. I didn't go in at that stage. I waited, treated with her aggressively with steroids, both oral as well as topical, and atropine. And then the pupil also got a little more dilated. The eye pressure, though abnormal still, but from an unrecordable, it went up to about the range of 4 and 6. And then I went in at that stage and operated. There were a lot of spots on the IOL. So some were on the posterior cap, through a broken posterior capsule, and some I had to tackle using a ven flow over here from the front surface of the lens, and this was the situation inside. A giant retinal tear sitting right over there. So started with subretinal membrane peeling. And then went on the epiretinal surface, gradually massaging, peeling, removing whatever chunks I could. Then introducing perfluorocarbon liquid, hoping that I would have done a reasonable amount of peeling. I still knew that anteriorly I had not done a complete job, but the retina just folded on itself, and the perfluorocarbon liquid went under the retina. Whenever such a thing happens, it basically indicates that all the traction has not been removed, and hence one started looking again in the subretinal space. Sure enough, there were still more membranes to be peeled. The end of whatever membranes could be peeled, once one found some amount of the PFCL remaining stable, anterior peeling, and whatever was a contracted retina, one ended up cutting it up following a good amount of endodiathermy. The retina and the choroid both tend to be extremely bleedy in these cases, so the cautery needs to be extremely well functional in such cases. And retina is fully reattached into laser. Now the question is that in such cases one is going to end up putting silicone oil. So how does one prevent silicone oil from coming in front? Because as you saw, there was a large PC rent also. One would have done a good good base excision along with some of the retinectomy. So the important thing is to inject air into the anterior chamber. Now when you inject air, the endothelium starts showing up those striate folds. So on top of that, with another small separate needle through a separate entry, go and inject a viscoelastic over the air bubble, so that coats off those gaps creating the striae, so your view improves and you are able to complete the process.
Hello.
So
Sanji.
this lady, surprisingly, she also improved to around 618 partial and 18 vision. So as Karobi said, please don't give up.
Yes. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.